There is a coastal town in America where you can buy a three-bedroom house with ocean views for less than a used Honda Civic. No, this is not a scam listing from 2008. This is right now, today, in towns so forgotten by the American economy that real estate prices have entered some kind of alternate dimension where logic does not apply. Everyone thinks cheap coastal living died sometime around 1987 when the last affordable beach town got gentrified into artisanal coffee shops and yoga studios. But here is what nobody tells you. Scattered along America's coastlines are actual towns so economically devastated, so far from anywhere people want to be, and so desperate for new residents that housing prices make you wonder if someone accidentally added an extra zero to your savings account instead of the price tag. We are counting down 15 coastal towns where homes are shockingly cheap. Some have houses under $50,000 with water views. Others have mansions for the price of a year's rent in Brooklyn. And one place has waterfront property so cheap you could buy it with what most people spend on streaming services in a year. One town has more abandoned houses than occupied ones. Another is so remote your nearest grocery store requires a ferry ride and advanced planning like you are provisioning for an Arctic expedition. And yes, one place technically has homes selling for four figures. But the catch is you might be the only person under 60 in your zip code. And you learn to accept that your social life will consist of church potlucks and wondering if the dollar store will ever restock. Think you know cheap coastal living? Let us see if you are ready for places where ocean views come free with your mortgage payment. But job opportunities do not exist, and your property value might actually decrease. Like this video if you have ever realized the American dream is still affordable but only in places the American economy forgot existed. Subscribe because this video is your relocation guide to coastal poverty with nice views. Let us break it down. Number 15, Cairo, Illinois. Cairo will sell you a historic home near where two major rivers meet for prices that sound like typos. Welcome to the town at the southern tip of Illinois, where the Ohio River meets the Mississippi. Cairo sits at one of the most strategic locations in American geography. During the Civil War, it was a crucial Union supply base. Today, it is one of the most economically devastated towns in America. The population peaked around 15,000 in 1920. Today, fewer than 2,000 people remain. Downtown is lined with beautiful but crumbling Victorian buildings. Entire blocks sit abandoned, and you can buy homes here for less than a decent used car. Here is what Cairo costs. Homes are listed from $5,000 to $30,000 for properties that would cost $500,000 anywhere functional. Many houses need serious work, but structurally sound options exist under $20,000. Rent, if you can find it, runs about $300 to $500 per month. The cost of living is dramatically below the national average because there is almost nothing to spend money on. The job market is nearly non-existent. Most remaining residents commute to Paducah or Cape Girardeau, both about 30 miles away. The town lost its last grocery store. The nearest Walmart is a 30-minute drive. You are moving to a town in its final stages of existence. One person who bought property described Cairo as the most beautiful, depressing place they had ever seen. They got a historic mansion for $18,000. The bones were solid. The river views were stunning, but walking downtown felt like touring a museum of American decline. Cairo was supposed to be great. Mark Twain wrote about it. Charles Dickens visited and hated it. But still, people noticed. The location was perfect for trade. Then railroads reduced river importance. Racial tension drove people away. Floods kept threatening. The town never recovered. Now it is a place where you can own history nobody wants. Picture yourself in a Victorian mansion you paid $15,000 for. Crown molding, original hardwood, river views. Then you drive to get groceries and pass 12 abandoned buildings. Sometimes cheap means you bought a museum where you are the only visitor. Number 14, Gary, Indiana lakefront. Gary will sell you Lake Michigan views for prices that make waterfront property elsewhere look like a scam. The catch is, Gary's reputation is so bad, people assume you are joking when you say you live there. Gary sits on the southern shore of Lake Michigan, about 30 miles from Chicago. Built by U.S. Steel in 1906 as a company town. At its peak in 1960, the population hit 178,000. Today, it is under 70,000 and falling. The city is famous for urban decay and high crime rates, but parts of Gary sit directly on Lake Michigan, with beaches and views identical to expensive Chicago suburbs just miles away. And you can buy those views for almost nothing. Here is Gary's reality. Lakefront homes are listed from $20,000 to $80,000 for properties with direct water access. Comparable homes 15 miles east in Michigan City or 30 miles west in Chicago suburbs cost $400,000 to $800,000. Rent runs $500 to $900 per month. Crime rates are genuinely high in parts of the city, though lakefront areas are relatively safer. The catch is reputation. Telling people you live in Gary triggers reactions from concern to outright disbelief. One person who bought lakefront property said the financial math made perfect sense and the social math made none. They have Lake Michigan sunrises from their deck. They paid $35,000 for a house. Their Chicago friends act like they moved to a war zone. The neighborhood is actually quiet, but they cannot escape the stigma. Lake Michigan is right there. We are talking about one of the Great Lakes. The same water that touches expensive Wisconsin resort towns also touches Gary. Picture yourself watching sunrise over Lake Michigan. You paid less for your house than most people pay for a wedding? Then someone asks where you live, and you watch their face change when you say Gary. Number 13, Port Arthur, Texas. Port Arthur will give you Gulf Coast living with refineries as your backdrop. Welcome to Southeast Texas, where the petrochemical industry dominates everything. Port Arthur sits on the Gulf Coast with about 55,000 residents. It is humid, flat, and smells like oil refineries because refineries are everywhere. The local economy lives and dies with the energy sector. When oil is up, the town does okay. When oil is down, everything suffers. But housing stays cheap regardless. Here is what Port Arthur costs. The median home price is around $75,000. You can find houses under $50,000 that are livable. Rent runs about $600 to $900 per month. The job market is energy focused, with decent wages if you can get refinery work. The catch is environmental concerns. You are living surrounded by petrochemical facilities. Air quality is a legitimate issue. Hurricane risk is high. One person who moved for refinery work said Port Arthur pays well and costs little, but the smell is constant. Hurricanes are terrifying because refineries and storms are a bad combination. Hurricane Harvey hit Port Arthur hard in 2017. The city flooded catastrophically. Picture yourself in a house you bought for $60,000. You are 10 minutes from the Gulf. Then you smell the refinery flare at 3 a.m. Hurricane season starts and you are filling sandbags again. Sometimes cheap coastal living smells like petrochemicals. Number 12, Eastport, Maine. Eastport will sell you Atlantic Ocean views at the literal edge of America for prices that seem reasonable until you realize you are 4 hours from anything resembling a city. Welcome to the easternmost city in the United States. Eastport sits on Moose Island in far northeastern Maine with about 1,200 residents. It is closer to Canada than to Portland. The town was once a thriving sardine canning center. Those days are long gone. Today, it survives on fishing, aquaculture, and people who want serious isolation. Here is what Eastport costs. The median home price is around $120,000. Waterfront properties run $150,000 to $250,000. Absurdly cheap for ocean access. Rent is about $500 to $800 per month, if you can find it. The cost of living is close to the national average for goods, but housing is dramatically cheaper. The job market is tiny. Fishing, aquaculture, some tourism in summer, and remote work if your internet holds up. Winters are brutal. We are talking legitimate northeastern coastal winter where temperatures stay below freezing for months, and wind off the Atlantic cuts through everything. The catch is isolation. Eastport is genuinely remote. Bangor is 2.5 hours away. Portland is over 4 hours. You are at the end of the road where the road stops at the ocean. One person who relocated said Eastport is paradise if you want to disappear. They have ocean views from every window. They paid $140,000 for a house that would cost millions in Massachusetts. But they drive an hour to get groceries. In winter, they can go weeks without seeing anyone. You can see Canada across the water. Picture your home overlooking the Atlantic. Sunrises are spectacular. Then January hits and temperatures drop below zero. Your pipes freeze. You have not seen another human in days. Number 11, Duluth, Minnesota. Duluth gives you Lake Superior for housing prices that make actual ocean towns look ridiculous. Welcome to northern Minnesota, where the largest freshwater lake in the world shapes everything. Duluth has about 90,000 residents, spread along dramatic hills that drop to Lake Superior. The city was a shipping hub for iron ore and grain. It still functions as a port, but the economy has diversified into healthcare, education, and tourism. Housing costs reflect a city that is affordable by any coastal standard. Here is the Duluth situation. The median home price is around $220,000. Homes with Lake Superior views run $250,000 to $400,000, shockingly cheap for waterfront. The job market is decent with healthcare and education as major employers. Winters are brutal with lake effect snow and temperatures that regularly hit negative numbers. The catch is while Lake Superior is massive, it is not the ocean. Winter lasts from October through April. One person who moved from Seattle said Duluth gives you waterfront living at a fraction of the cost. They paid $280,000 for something that would have cost $1.2 million in Seattle. But they shovel snow from November through March. Summer is about 3 months long. Standing on the shore feels like standing at the ocean, but it is still a lake. Picture your Duluth home overlooking Lake Superior. You paid $300,000 for views that would cost 7 figures on an actual coast. Then winter arrives in October and does not leave until May. You shovel snow in April. Number 10, Belhaven, North Carolina. Belhaven will sell you access to the Intracoastal Waterway and nearby Pamlico Sound for prices that make North Carolina's Outer Banks look like a luxury market. Welcome to tiny Belhaven in Beaufort County, with about 1,600 residents. It sits along the Pungo River, which connects to the Pamlico Sound and the Atlantic beyond. This is eastern North Carolina, where fishing and farming are the economy, and tourists skip past on their way to more famous beaches. Housing reflects being in a place nobody is rushing to visit. The median home price is around $110,000. Waterfront properties run $150 to $250. The job market is weak. Fishing, some agriculture, not much else. The catch is hurricanes and flooding. This part of North Carolina gets hit regularly. Florence in 2018 devastated the area. Flood insurance is mandatory and expensive. One person who bought waterfront said Belhaven is perfect for retirement or remote work. They paid $180,000 for something that would cost $800,000 on the Outer Banks. But every hurricane season is stressful. Their street flooded during Florence. Eastern North Carolina is beautiful in a quiet way. Flat with winding rivers, salt marshes, huge skies. Picture your home on the Pungo River. You have a dock where you fish. Then June arrives and you start watching tropical weather obsessively. You know your evacuation route by heart. Number 9. St. Joseph, Michigan. St. Joseph gives you Lake Michigan beaches that rival anywhere on the Great Lakes for housing prices, well below what comparable waterfront costs elsewhere. St. Joe sits in southwestern Michigan directly across the lake from Chicago with about 8,000 residents. It is a cute town with a historic downtown, actual beaches, and a lighthouse. The local economy depends on tourism, agriculture, and people who commute to larger cities. Housing is affordable compared with lakefront property anywhere else. The median home price is around $180,000. Homes near the lake run $250,000 to $450,000. The job market is decent for a small town. The catch is St. Joe is still a small town. Entertainment is limited. Chicago is accessible but requires driving around the lake. One person who moved from Chicago said St. Joe provides lake access without city costs. They walked to the beach in 10 minutes. They paid $320,000 for a house that would have cost $700,000 in a Chicago lakefront suburb. But they drive an hour for anything beyond basic shopping. Lake Michigan beaches here are legitimately nice. Wide sandy beaches, dunes, clear water in summer. Picture your home 3 blocks from Lake Michigan. Summer evenings you walk to the beach, then winter hits, and the beach is empty for months. Number 8. Lubec, Maine. Lubec sits at the easternmost point where you can watch sunrise before anyone else in the country and buy a house for less than a year of rent in Boston. Welcome to Lubec, population around 1,300 at the edge of everything. It sits across a narrow channel from Campobello Island, Canada. The town was once a thriving sardine canning center. 20 canneries operated here. All are closed now. Today, Lubec survives on fishing, aquaculture, and people seeking the end of the road. The median home price is around $140,000. Homes with water views run $150,000. The job market is nearly non-existent beyond fishing and aquaculture. Winters are harsh. The catch is extreme isolation. Lubec is the definition of remote. Bangor is 2 hours away. Portland is 4 hours. You are at the end of Route 189. One person who bought property said Lubec is as cheap as coastal Maine gets. They have sunrise over the Atlantic every morning. They paid $160,000 for a house with water views. But half the town closes in winter. Social life is whoever else is stubborn enough to stay. The natural beauty is stark and dramatic. Fog rolls in constantly. Picture yourself overlooking the bay. Sunrise is yours before the rest of the country. Then November comes and does not leave until April. Half your neighbors left for Florida. You have solitude you did not know was possible. Number 7. Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Sault Ste. Marie gives you the St. Mary's River connecting two Great Lakes for housing prices that make waterfront property elsewhere look like a joke. The Soo sits where Lake Superior drains into Lake Huron through the famous Soo Locks. Population is around 13,000. The median home price is around $130,000. Waterfront properties run $180,000 to $300,000. The job market is limited to government, healthcare, and service industries. Winters are brutal with lake effect snow and temperatures below freezing for months. The catch is you are in the Upper Peninsula. You are isolated. Winter is endless. One person who relocated said the Soo is perfect if you love winter and solitude. They have river views with massive freighters passing constantly. They paid $210,000 for waterfront that would cost $600,000 anywhere more accessible. But they own a snowblower that is essential equipment. Winter lasts 7 months. The Soo Locks are fascinating if you are into infrastructure. Picture your home on the St. Mary's River. Freighters pass your windows. Then January hits, and temperatures do not rise above 0 for weeks. Lake effect snow buries your car overnight. Number 6. Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Bay St. Louis will sell you Gulf Coast living with sugar sand beaches for prices that make Florida look overpriced. Welcome to the Mississippi Gulf Coast, where Bay St. Louis sits with about 10,000 residents. It is an artsy beach town that has been rebuilt multiple times after hurricanes. Katrina devastated it in 2005. It recovered. It flooded again. It keeps coming back. Housing reflects being in a place where storms are part of the deal. The median home price is around $240,000. Beachfront properties run $300,000 to $500,000, cheap for Gulf access. The job market is tourism-based with spillover from New Orleans an hour away. The catch is hurricanes. This coast gets hit regularly and hard. Insurance is expensive. One person who bought beachfront said Bay St. Louis is the deal of the Gulf Coast, if you can handle the risk. They paid $380,000 for something that would cost over $1 million in Florida. But they evacuate for storms, pay $4,000 a year for insurance, and accept that their investment could be destroyed by weather. The Mississippi Gulf Coast has beautiful beaches people forget about. The sand is white, the water is warm. Picture your home a block from the beach. Mornings you walk on white sand. Then hurricane season starts, and every tropical wave is a potential threat. Your evacuation kit stays ready. Number 5. Algoma, Wisconsin. Algoma gives you Lake Michigan access with a working fishing harbor for prices that make Wisconsin look like the coastal bargain nobody talks about. Algoma sits on Lake Michigan's western shore in Door County with about 3,000 residents. It is a fishing town with a harbor, a downtown that is slowly revitalizing, and access to the lake. The economy depends on fishing, some tourism, and agriculture. Housing is cheap compared to anywhere with comparable water access. The median home price is around $160,000. Lakefront properties run $200,000. to $350,000. The job market is limited: fishing, tourism, service industries. Green Bay is 40 minutes away. The catch is you are in a small town. Entertainment is limited. One person who moved from Milwaukee said Algoma is perfect for people who want lake access without the cost. They walked to the harbor. They paid $240,000 for a house with lake views, but they drive 40 minutes for shopping beyond basics. Social life is church, the local bar, and whoever lives year-round. Door County is beautiful, known for cherries and fish boils. Algoma is the working-class cousin. Picture your home near the lake. Summer mornings you watch fishing boats leave, then November arrives and tourists disappear. Half the businesses close until spring. Number 4, Orange, Texas. Orange sits on the Texas-Louisiana border where the Sabine River meets the Gulf. Welcome to Orange with about 19,000 residents. It is a refinery town where petrochemical facilities dominate the landscape. The air smells like industry. The median home price is around $85,000. Waterfront properties run $120,000 to $200,000. The job market is energy focused, with refinery jobs paying well. Hurricane risk is extreme. Harvey, Rita, and Ike all hit this area hard. Flooding is regular. The catch is you are living in refinery country where the smell never goes away. One person who works the refineries said Orange makes financial sense if you can tolerate the environment. They paid $95,000 for a house with river access, but air quality concerns them. Every hurricane season is stressful. The Sabine River is industrial and working class. Refineries line both sides. Picture your home near the water. You paid $90,000. Then you smell the flare at night. Hurricane warnings come and you pack essentials, knowing floods are likely. Number 3, Aberdeen, Washington. Aberdeen will sell you Pacific Ocean access through the Grays Harbor estuary for prices that make Washington state look affordable. Welcome to southwestern Washington, where Aberdeen sits with about 17,000 residents. It is a former timber town where mills have mostly closed. The economy struggled after logging declined. Rain is constant, unemployment is high, and the town has a reputation for poverty and drug problems. But housing is incredibly cheap for being this close to the Pacific. The median home price is around $190,000. Homes near the water run $220,000 to $350,000. The job market is weak. The catch is the economy and the rain. Aberdeen gets over 80 inches of rain per year. The sky is gray from October through June. One person who moved for affordability said Aberdeen gives you Pacific Northwest beauty for a fraction of the cost. They are 20 minutes from ocean beaches. They paid $240,000 for a house that would cost $700,000 in Seattle. But the rain is relentless. Jobs are scarce. The town feels economically depressed. Grays Harbor opens to the Pacific. The beaches nearby are rugged and beautiful. Picture your home near the harbor. You are close to Pacific beaches. Then October arrives and rain starts. It does not stop until June. Number 2, Coos Bay, Oregon. Coos Bay will give you the Oregon coast for prices that make Portland look like a scam. Welcome to the southern Oregon coast, where Coos Bay sits with about 16,000 residents. It was a major timber and shipping port. The timber industry collapsed. The port still operates but does not drive the economy like it used to. What remains is a town with stunning coastal access and housing prices that reflect economic stagnation. The median home price is around $280,000. Waterfront properties run $350,000 to $550,000, cheap for Oregon coast access. The job market is limited: healthcare, education, service industries. The catch is isolation. Eugene is 2 hours away. Portland is 4 hours. Job opportunities are scarce. One person who relocated said Coos Bay is the most affordable way to live on the Oregon coast. They have ocean access and dramatic scenery. They paid $380,000 for a house with water views, but finding work was hard. The town feels economically stuck. They work remotely because local options did not exist. The Oregon coast is stunning. Rocky headlands, crashing waves. Picture your home near the water. The Pacific is right there. Then you realize you are 3 hours from a major city. Number 1, Astoria, Oregon. Astoria sits where the Columbia River meets the Pacific Ocean. Welcome to the northwestern tip of Oregon, where Astoria clings to steep hills overlooking the Columbia River. with about 10,000 residents. It is a historic fishing and canning town with Victorian architecture, a working waterfront, and stunning geography. The local economy survives on fishing, tourism, and people who commute to Portland if they are desperate enough to drive 2 hours. Housing is cheap for what you get. The median home price is around $380,000. Historic Victorians with river views run $400,000 to $650,000. The job market is weak. Fishing, tourism, healthcare, not much else. The catch is fog, rain, and isolation. Astoria gets 67 inches of rain per year. Fog is constant. You are 2 hours from Portland. One person who moved from California said Astoria is everything they wanted at a price they could afford. They have a Victorian home with Columbia River views. They paid $480,000 for something that would cost $2 million in the Bay Area. But the rain and fog are relentless. The job market is terrible. They work remotely. Social life is limited. The Columbia River mouth is spectacular. The Astoria-Megler Bridge spans 4 miles to Washington. Ships pass by, the hills provide dramatic views, but the weather is brutal for those who need sunshine. Picture your Victorian home overlooking the Columbia. You paid $500,000 for history and views. Then you realize you have not seen the sun in 3 weeks. So there you have it. 15 coastal towns where you can actually afford waterfront living in America, and every single one comes with catches that explain the price. Cheap coastal living exists. It exists in places the economy forgot, where storms threaten constantly, where winters are brutal, where jobs do not exist. The American dream of coastal property is not dead. It just moved to places most Americans will never visit and comes with trade-offs most will not accept. But for those willing to embrace isolation, economic uncertainty, harsh weather, or industrial landscapes, these towns offer something increasingly rare: affordable waterfront living. If you made it this far, drop a comment telling us which town you would actually consider moving to and why. Or if you are already living in one of these places, tell us if we got it right. Hit subscribe because we are covering more forgotten American places where affordability still exists but comes with costs nobody talks about. Smash that like button if you appreciate actual research about real estate instead of clickbait fantasy listings. Thanks for watching. Now, go pull up Zillow and see if you are brave enough to actually make an offer on that $20,000 mansion in Cairo. Or if, like most people, you will just keep dreaming about coastal living you cannot afford while scrolling through listings in places you will never move to.